The Power of Dyslexia. What is dyslexia? Dyslexia is so much more than a struggle with reading. It is a completely unique type of brain wiring that includes both difficulties and unique strengths. Dyslexia is a unique way of processing information, a distinctive type of brain organization. This brain wiring is different from that of a neurotypical brain. It's associated with a particular pattern of strengths and challenges. It's a lifelong condition and is often hereditary, and found to frequently co-occur with other learning and thinking differences such as ADHD. Dyslexia is not a problem with intelligence. A large number of CEOs and entrepreneurs are dyslexic. It's not a problem with your vision. People with dyslexia don't write or see words backward any more than other people do. It's not a problem with laziness. You can't study your way out of dyslexic wiring. The results from the 2010 study at Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity shown here illustrate that in cases of dyslexia, low reading ability does not go hand in hand with a low IQ. Dyslexia does not mean low intelligence. It is estimated that up to 1 in 5 people are affected by dyslexia. In a classroom of 30, that could be as many as 6 students. Consider this. If 15 to 20% of the general population has dyslexia, why is the percentage of successful millionaires and CEOs doubled? Ask yourself, why is dyslexia considered a disability? Your answer will likely involve difficulty in reading or maybe spelling. While those challenges do exist, dyslexic brain wiring can also be an advantage in the right environment. What if we didn't think of dyslexia as a disability? Consider some of these successful adults with dyslexia. Steven Spielberg, Whoopi Goldberg, Richard Branson, Jennifer Aniston, and Dean Graziosi, a successful entrepreneur who understands his inherent strength that comes from dyslexia. He chooses to focus on building his strengths to overcome any weakness, which may be making you curious to know more about these strengths. The authors of the book, The Dyslexic Advantage, offer a helpful acronym for understanding the strengths associated with dyslexic wiring. MIND. This stands for material reasoning, or the ability to manipulate multidimensional objects in their minds. I, interconnected reasoning, the ability to see connections, similarities, and relationships between different things and different perspectives. N, narrative reasoning, story-like interconnected comprehension or understanding. D, dynamic reasoning, the ability to use a collection of information to predict or simulate events. The mind strengths may uniquely vary and combine in individuals with dyslexia to manifest as distinct talents in one or more of these following areas: critical thinking and problem solving, communication and perspective taking, creativity, and spatial abilities, the ability to visualize in 3D. People with dyslexia wiring may have one or the more following challenges in certain environments. They may struggle with reading, spelling, writing, math, procedural or rote learning, directionality, or oral language. This unique blend of strengths and weaknesses will display differently in each child depending on their unique wiring, support systems, and environment. Dyslexia does not look the same in all learners. Let's visit a school to see how dyslexic strengths and weaknesses can present themselves in the classroom. Meet Nat. Nat is a kind boy who loves to entertain his friends with stories and riding his bike. At school, he is struggling with reading and writing, and he really only enjoys recess. At home, Nat is curious and excited about learning and loves to discuss the things he has seen. He makes complex connections between his learning and the world around him. Nat is a uniquely bright child, but he's unhappy at school and has recently begun pretending to be sick to avoid going. Nat has his own unique blend of strengths and weaknesses. He's good at storytelling and public speaking, which shouldn't surprise us to hear he has advanced verbal reasoning skills. He also links ideas and can see things from many perspectives. He has a strong sense of space and excels at sports. He's an out-of-the-box thinker and often sees big picture ideas. While at the same time, Nat has unique weaknesses: difficulty reading words and decoding phonemes, slow at reading and producing written word. He struggles with writing and spelling and acquiring new vocabulary. He also struggles to follow long sequences of auditory information. Meet Jordan. Jordan is a fun-loving first grader in the gifted program at her local school. She's very artistic and quick to learn new concepts. Jordan is a perceptive friend and very active. She loves to build complex structures with blocks and Legos. But she has a hard time learning to tie her shoes. She has some trouble with handwriting, spelling, and sounding out words. But overall, she is doing well in school. Jordan has her own set of strengths, from reading books, rich with vocabulary, to puzzles and chess. She has a gift for music and art, while also loving math and robotics. Her weaknesses are just as varied. Jordan struggles with sequential things like a calendar, keeping tracks of steps and procedures is hard, and connecting her thoughts to words verbally is lengthy. She struggles with rote memorization like state capitals and math facts. She has poor handwriting and spelling. She struggles to connect her thoughts to her output on paper. Though both Jordan and Nat have dyslexia, they exhibit very different learning profiles. Students with dyslexia are highly unique individuals with varying learning needs. However, it is helpful to understand the ways learning may break down for them in the classroom. The information processing model can be helpful in providing a linear model of how memory and learning takes place in the brain. Using this model, we see that stimuli enters the sense memory via the 5 senses. Within a fraction of a second, this information is sent to areas of the brain including the amygdala, which assesses it for threat before sending it on to working memory, where it is processed and encoded into long-term memory to be retrieved later. Working memory is vital to learning and production. It provides an active mental workspace to develop and combine ideas and memories, and to plan for immediate actions. Students with dyslexia may struggle with poor verbal working memory and reduced automaticity in language processing. Additionally, research suggests inefficient coding of new verbal information. These challenges are often complicated by the anxiety that arises when struggling students repeatedly encounter tasks that are not aligned with their learning needs, or are exceptionally challenged, or in some cases, even humiliating. When anxiety is present, the amygdala's fight or flight response is triggered, and learning is shut down before it can even begin. By first grade, Nat's writing and reading were well behind his peers. His parents were told that it was not unusual for boys to have poor handwriting at this age, and that he just needed to practice more at home. As Nat grew older, he was well aware that he was not reading and writing as well as his friends in class. He tried very hard every day. He attempted to memorize the books his teacher read with him so that he could pretend to read them to his parents later. But there was just no pretending when it came to his writing. He didn't understand what his teacher meant when she said, "Try to sound it out." And he would sit for hours in front of that blank page, often being kept in from recess, his only joy at school, to finish his work. Nat's parents got him the early reading remediation that they believe he needed, but he still struggled in school. He was constantly confronted with things he couldn't do well. He became angry and sad and didn't understand why he just couldn't do what everyone else was doing. Nat developed frequent stomach aches and began to avoid school and homework even more. By third grade, Jordan still struggled to read out loud, but she loved reading to herself as she was able to use her strong, critical thinking skills to compensate for not understanding each word on the page. She excelled at understanding the big picture in the materials she read. In fifth grade, Jordan was asked to leave the gifted program to focus on remediation in the areas in which she struggled. In her new classes, there were fewer interesting debates and hardly any subjects in which Jordan's creativity, artistic abilities, and critical thinking skills could shine. As Jordan aged, she became bored and frustrated at school and truly believed she was not smart. Her grades fell. In middle school, Jordan really began to struggle with writing, spelling, and memorization. She struggled to get her ideas out onto paper. Translating the vivid, detailed pictures in her head into sentences was hard. Writing assignments were often turned in late or incomplete. As hard as she tried, memorizing dates, names, and math facts were incredibly difficult for Jordan. Though she made amazing connections between the events she learned about in history and modern-day real life, dates and names just seemed to get lost somewhere in her brain. Her grades continued to slip. When neurodiverse learners are viewed through a deficit lens, they are defined as deficient, and supports are focused exclusively on remediating areas of difficulties. Students who do not experience strength-based success in the classroom may start to experience increased anxiety. The fight or flight response is triggered and impedes their production. They may cause withdrawal or even work refusal. It also can cause problems with their emotional well-being. They'll have poor self-esteem and feelings of shame and isolation. When strengths are not recognized and developed, this can lead to negative outcomes. The ability of students to positively adapt to the literacy challenges is impaired, and their highest potentials may go untapped. When students with dyslexia are viewed through a strength and talent lens, they are recognized as possessing both learning differences and unique talents. Supporting growth and development in areas of strength is vital. This reduces anxiety and increases their attention and learning. It gives them opportunities to succeed and create positive associations. They become more self-aware. They have self-confidence, and they're aware of their own strengths. They have an increased motivation to learn, which causes positive outcomes. This maximizes their unique 21st century skills and applies their strengths to be successful in many careers. Students with IEPs or 504s may already have accommodations in place, such as more time for tests and reading assignments using speech-to-text technology. There are many additional ways to differentiate instruction and assessments that may be beneficial for these students. You will find that many students with similar learning profiles, but without the official diagnosis of dyslexia, will benefit as well. For reading, try advocating for a research-based phonics program with teacher training to support you. Use audiobooks in your classroom. Allow students to listen to a book and follow along with the printed word. When you're teaching spelling, make sure that you're teaching spelling with patterns. And in writing, encourage the use of cursive to help combat occasional letter reversals. In math, we can provide a reference page on the student's desk, such as a math fact chart, number line, or graphic organizer with steps to solve. We can do more hands-on work with these students, provide concrete materials for students to work with, such as base 10 blocks, Unifix cubes, or algebra tiles. We can also provide general learning assistance using notes. Hand out notes before or after your lesson. Leave notes on the whiteboard to be copied or to have pictures taken. Do lots of preview and review. Show videos about topics and information covered. You could send links home and emails for students to watch. They can watch these multiple times before or after instruction. When observing neurodiverse students, it is important to pay a particular attention to what the child is doing well. Where and when do they shine? Think to yourself, how can I create more opportunities for this student to use their strengths to successfully show what they know? Consider involving the student themselves in these deliberations. Ask yourself this leading question. What can I do to allow this child to shine? Here's some additional suggestions for you. You could create teacher notes. Shine. What is the student doing well? Where do they shine? How do I create more opportunities for them to use their strengths to show what they know? Ask. Perform an informal survey, asking the student how they like to learn and be assessed. In your assessments, you could allow the student to create a model or piece of art showing their knowledge. Allow them to interact and have students create a play, do an interview, or even create a song. You could also choose to be the scribe for your student. Ask the test questions and you write the answer. Fortunately, Jordan's parents were able to have her tested by an expert in the field. Jordan was found to be a classic case of stealth dyslexia. She was twice exceptional, both gifted and dyslexic. There are many presentations of dyslexic brain wiring, and it can be very hard to recognize. It can be even more difficult to see in gifted kids as their intelligence often masks their difficulties, and vice versa. Jordan found a new school that helped her learn about and focus on her strengths, as well as improve her areas of weakness. The school provided alternative ways of accessing the curriculum, multiple options for assessing learning, and emphasized student self-awareness of their own unique brain wiring. In middle school, some very observant teachers began to recognize Nat's unique strengths of connecting different ideas to the world around him and creating rich narratives. His teachers provided opportunities to use these talents to produce dynamic and creative group projects. He was provided with access to technology and visual learning tools such as informational videos. His knowledge base exploded. In high school, Nat found a like-minded community of hackers and began to learn everything he could about the internet. Given what we know about Jordan and Nat's skills, let's think about what kind of careers they may excel in. How might they leverage their incredible talents and compensate for areas of difficulty after they leave school? People with dyslexia excel in visualizing. Various careers that involve this skill are sports, music, architecture, and construction. Inventing can be a real strength. You'll find opportunities to be an inventor inside of science, technology, and entrepreneurship. Careers in creating could involve design, advertisement, and the culinary arts. Another strength for people with dyslexia is communication. They could find a career in marketing, filmmaking, writing, acting, and PR. Let's see how the story of Nat and Jordan continues to develop. As Jordan moved through high school and college, she discovered and developed her outstanding spatial and artistic talents. Her critical thinking and planning abilities, and love of architecture and history. She relies on technology such as spell check and voice-to-text note-taking to bolster her memory and writing speed. Jordan earned a master's degree in urban planning and consults for many of the largest cities in the world to integrate information from many sources and predict future scenarios. She visualizes and designs optimal plans for growth. Nat continued his love for creative problem solving through computers. Nat chose to use these strengths and received a computer engineering degree. Nat partnered with a detail-oriented friend with strong coding skills to start a cybersecurity business. Nat's strong 21st century skills enabled him to see the big picture, predict future scenarios, and use his strong storytelling skills to communicate these ideas to clients. He is uniquely suited for the tech startup environment. Thanks to observant and creative teachers and supportive parents, Nat and Jordan were given the ability to discover, grow, and learn in the areas of strength and positively adapt to compensate for their challenges. Ultimately, they were both able to create a unique niche for themselves professionally and are living happy, productive, rewarding lives. We can all play a role in supporting students like Nat and Jordan by remembering that. Dyslexia looks different for different students and in different environments. Specific strengths and challenges will manifest uniquely in each individual. Though learners with dyslexia may struggle to read fluently, spell accurately, memorize by rote, or produce in written format, you may find them to be among the most gifted communicators, critical thinkers, and creative problem solvers in class. Providing opportunities for learners with dyslexia to discover and leverage their strengths in the classroom can empower them to adapt, excel, and succeed outside of the classroom. Accurately identifying learning difficulties and addressing the needs arising from dyslexia is important. However, the experience of our learners can be profoundly, positively changed when they are viewed holistically, not simply seen for what they can't do, but also appreciated for all the strengths that come with their unique brain wiring and for all the potential these talents bring. You can make a difference. This begins with just one caring, perceptive adult, a parent who notices a hidden ability, or a teacher who recognizes and nurtures an outside the box talent. You can be the person who makes a difference in the life of a neurodiverse learner with dyslexia.